Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Staying Indian. Now, if you're an Indian living outside of India and you must have thought about, is it the right time to invest in India? If yes, I have very esteemed guest, Chandrakantha Bhatta sir. So welcome sir.
My pleasure to talk to you and through your audience to your community of viewers in Netherlands and rest of Europe and other parts of the world.
Chandrakant sir is founder of NRI Money Clinic. He has been helping out NRIs across the globe for last 4 years. He is also AMFI certified mutual fund distributor, and he is helping NRIs to plan their wealth management, plan their investments in India for decades. Thank you, sir, for taking out the time. And you have decades of experience in financial planning and financial landscape. And you started a dedicated channel, NRI Money Clinic, for past 4 years. How your journey has been so far?
It has been very exciting. What started as a passion grew into a full-time producing videos and looking for. Before we started the YouTube channel, I myself was a very successful planner. But it was push model of a business where you look out for clients, you brief them, it's one-on-one. It's a difficult one because of the nature of how do you reach out to people. Then came my son. He was an NRI himself. He suggested that, Dad, why not you do a YouTube? And the way things are being done today has changed. You have a perfect, good working model. Why not dissipate this knowledge to the rest of the world? Around the same time, you had a pandemic and you were constrained inside the room. You didn't know what to do. And we just thought, let's do it. And in less than 6 months, we became very popular. In a world of finance, which is full of jargons and people get lost out in what to do, where to do. People are filled with emotions of fear, greed. Our attempt to take people through the safe route caught like wildfire. And today where we are, today we have more than 2.5 lakh subscribers. This is spread across the globe. We have built a clientele from more than 60 odd countries. Every day more than 50,000 people see our videos. So rest is history. Extreme level of satisfaction that we are able to dissipate this knowledge, simplify and create safe future for the audience across the globe.
Amazing, sir. And I'm part of those 2.5 lakh followers. I started following you around the pandemic. I was also doing research on wealth management and came across your channel and amazing videos. Some of the esteemed guests like Anup Bagchi from ICICI Prudentials. You have Nilesh Shah from Kotak. So you have a lot of esteemed guests on your channel as well. So how do you manage creating such a large community and managing the work of financial advising as well?
Well, we have a big team today. I operate both in India as well as from Dubai, and our work is well known, and the kind of work that we have done, the kind of results that we have created has become a talk of the town. And people, for example, with ICICI Prudential, we are one of the leading distributors across India, one of the top rankers in the country. With mutual fund, we handle hundreds of crores of assets under management. Main thing is we listen to the problems of people. See, financial things we could do, investment part we could do, mutual fund things we could do, annuities we could do. But when it comes to question of NRIs, they had several other issues. See, for example, the FEMA law issues regarding the taxation issues, the income tax notices that will come, Aadhaar related issues, returning NRIs issues, inheritance related issues. So when we were doing this business, we got to know a lot of problems the NRIs were going through. And we started searching for faculties who can answer these things. One thing is our channel is all about ethical practitioners. So it's just not finding a faculty on my channel to come and speak. That's pretty easier. But I have to find somebody who is very ethical, who is experienced, who has hands-on experience on the ground, who is a practitioner with decades of experience. And that's how people recognized our work. So we listen to the problems of people and we try and solve these problems now. And we have demystified many of the myths which are there. See, if you open the internet, there are so many things which are not very truthful. But over a period of time, through research, through talking to many faculties, we have demystified many of the things which are there on the internet.
So I think that speaks a lot about your credibility and about your subscribers as well and the growing popularity. So, coming to the topic, we are here to discuss on the future of wealth of NRIs in India. And I think one of the key aspects is balancing between wealth creation and a safety of your investment. So how do you kind of advise people to balance that?
See, when it comes to question of safety is paramount. right? So first you have to have things which are in safe place, and then you build wealth on it. Safety cannot be compromised. There are two things which are happening simultaneously. This is the days of fintech industries which have come, which have democratized a kind of an investment into it. So it has created a participation of general public into it. At the same time, as an offset of that, the risk has gone into the market. Instead of a real long-term investment, people have become short-term investors. People have been trading. People have been taking bets on futures, options. All these things has resulted in increase in risk. We went through a SEBI report which said that over 90% of the people who trade in the markets lose money. And that's not something to be very, very comfortable with. So we started talking to people on these aspects, how you can create a safe investment. You need to understand where the risk comes from. The risk comes from only two places. One is, I do not know what I am doing. For example, a child goes and touches a hot object is a clear example of, but suppose if the child is there under the control of the parent and parent says, don't do that, you will burn your hands, then the child will not go and touch that. Otherwise, child burns the hand, learns through its experiences, which is going to be a painful thing. The same story with the investors also. Today, they are lured by these fintech companies. They go, they get bet their money, they lose their peace of mind, they lose money, and probably they will not come back at all. Or it may create a disaster in their careers or in their family life. The second place where the risk comes is from not having time. See, today people have become impatient. So these are days of instant coffee, 2 minutes noodles. People want wealth to be created in no matter of time. That's all not possible. We hear about a FIRE movement. It is an overrated concept. It's not, I don't think in my heart of heart I can say this, it is not a working thing. It is created to create a business for the finance industry. Financial independence is fine, but retire early is against the evolutionary principles. So wealth creation is also it evolves. You can't revolutionize. It's not winning a lottery ticket and building on a big amount of wealth. So people who invest today should understand that the life is an evolutionary process, and that hasn't changed because of any digital improvements or because technology has improved. Evolution has not changed. Don't try to make a revolution out of it. That is where the risk is coming from. So if you know what you are doing, or if you work under the trained hands or the advisor self, the risk can be minimized. At the same time, volatility is moving up and down is order of the day. You can't avoid. If you have to sail in the sea, you have to live with the waves that come in along. If you have to travel by airline, the turbulence is part and parcel of the story. You can't avoid that. So with the slightest hint of volatility, markets coming down, you exit the market trying to become a more intelligent in the market. It is not a working formula. Rather, you invest today, give it more time, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. The time itself will rectify a lot of things.
Yeah, no, indeed. I think very well said. I think the patience is the key. And when you're, investing into something, you need to think of a long-term horizon rather than short. But taking a step back, not getting into the investment advisory per se, looking at the macroeconomic data for India in general. What do you think? What are the drivers on Indian economic growth, and how do you think an NRI should perceive for the next few decades the growth of Indian economy?
If my belief goes, my judgment goes, if you look at the data, probably I'll not be wrong to say the next 30 years will be the most important years of India. This is where India has the highest population in the working age group. But this also is going to change after the 30 years. So this is a particular period where the growth is going to happen. Now, if you look at in India, it's a very young country by demographic age. Today, the average age of the India is just about less than 28 years, if I have to believe. But this is not going to be a permanent feature. This will remain like this for next 20, 25, 30 years at the most, and thereafterwards, whatever you are seeing in the West today or whatever you are seeing in China today is likely to repeat in India. So if you have an intention to make money out of India, this is probably the best period. I was reading through some of the reports which says for next 10 years, 20% of the world's growth will come from one country, and that's India. So you have no other option but to invest in India. So the question is, should I invest in India? Rather, you have no other option but to invest in India if you have to grow the money. There are no other options available in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was also looking at private research done by SB NRI. it says 30% of NRIs want to move back after retirement to India. So I think that's a good opportunity as well. If you are looking to move back to India, having some wealth and assets there would help that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. You have to build your wealth when you are working outside of India. There is a big chunk of people who settle in other parts of the world like USA, Canada, Europe, Australia, some of these developed countries. But a big chunk of people will come back. People in Middle East countries, particularly. People who cannot adjust themselves to the Western culture. People who have got their deep roots in India. Their parents live here. They have larger assets. They are coming back. There's a big chunk of NRIs. This is the trend I have observed, that they have earned enough money and they still remember the festivals of India, the gullies of India, everything. They're hardcore Indians. They'll say Hindustani. So these guys are coming back, and there is a perceptible change in India. There's a huge difference which is being seen in India. I lived in Dubai for last close to about 13-14 years. If I ask my question, do I miss anything in India because I moved from Dubai to here? I don't think I have missed anything.
So what are some of the promising sectors that you think would be key to look out for in next coming decades?
Banking could be one of the finest sectors where you invest. I'll tell you the reason why I say you have to invest in banks. Now, if you look at the composition of Sensex or Nifty, more than 30% of the constitution, the index composition is coming from the banking. So you invest in banking, you are investing in India. So it may appear like a sector, but it is a proxy to the underlying economy. If the economy is doing very well, the pass-through effect into the bank is 1:3. So unless the entire economy does well, the banks cannot move. So banks won't move because of one particular sector. So if you're not somebody who is knowledgeable, you don't know where to invest, just pick up a diversified mutual fund. Or if you want to be a little bit more focused, you just invest in the bank. So you get the benefit of the entire thing that is happening in the economy. Some of the promising sectors are power sector is one. You can pick up the defense sector, which is a big thing which is happening in India right now. Make in India is another concept which is gaining ground, and India with this China plus one policy is well positioned to get benefited out of this. So you get many sectors. Tourism could be one another sector. Infrastructure is one. Ports are the other ones. So instead of looking for individual sectors to bet on, I would say invest in a diversified way. That is where you really make good amount of money.
Makes quite sense. And so, from a policy point of view, another thing that is kind of a big challenge for NRIs is the changing policies and the changing taxation governance model of the current government. So how do you think someone can safeguard themselves from that?
See, there is no taxation policy which has gone against person. See, one thing which is visible to me when I see this particular government during the last 10 years, they have tried their best to simplify the tax system. Completely online mode of assessments, simplification of the taxes. Then you have closing of tax loopholes, digitization process where the people who are not paying taxes today have no other option but to pay taxes. Implementation of the GST, which formalizes the whole economy. So the tax structure is getting rationalized. As individuals, we all have our demand. We want the taxes to be paid less. I'm not happy paying 39% tax. We all have our demands of reducing the tax. In the recent budget, the finance minister came for a lot of fire because she withdrew that indexation benefit. And because of the backlash she got, she said that, okay, you do your tax computation on the 12.5% on the long term and also on the indexation benefit, whichever is beneficial to you can go. But she gave these benefits only to the resident Indians. She left out the entire NRI community. I don't understand the rationale behind it. Why should NRI community be left behind? See, they are also our Indians and they also contribute to the betterment of this country. They flow enormous amounts of money into the country. We did one episode last week itself. $120 billion has been brought in just by the NRI community, and that's not small. That's 3.5% of the GDP of India is the money that has been flown from NRIs into India. And differentiating NRIs on this particular living out them on the indexation is not something which is acceptable to me unless finance minister has a strong reason.
No, I definitely agree, and I was discussing with one another guest recently, and that is the reason why we also started this channel, Staying Indian, to voice this community. Because you see 120 billion, that is like 3% of your GDP, but I would say it's more than 3% of your GDP because this is like pure profit. This is not, you don't have to cut operational cost on it. All this remittance is getting directly into your economic system rather than, cutting up some of the other charges and regulations on it.
I fully agree with you, and probably we should be vocal about it. We should be representing ourselves to the government, and probably government has taken us too lightly. The size of NRI communities today is not small, with over 31 odd million NRI population. It's as big as one of the countries of Europe. It is a rich population of India. It's a population which is earning much more than the average person in any country.
What are the long-term strategic benefits that NRI would reap when they're investing in India?
See, the long-term strategic benefit is, as I said, you are in the beginning phase of that massive boom that is going to come in India. And now, 2014, before Mr. Modi's government came into power, the economic situation was not all that comfortable. In the last 10 years, a lot of repair work has been done, a lot of foundation has been done. Now is the time where the country is reaping the benefits for this. I can take examples from even the earlier government. See, in the year 92, the country was almost broke. It didn't have a forex at all. And the government had to pledge the gold in the country to a bank outside of India and had to bring the forex just to survive from the default. From there onwards, the reform started. But it took 10 years for them to do the repair works. The good side of that came after 10 years. A similar story is playing out now. The good things started following. The biggest change which is happening in India is the digitization. The infrastructure which is being created in India, the digital infrastructure is the one which is changing. You travel on any road, you don't need to be carrying a credit card, you don't need to be having cash in your pocket. Coming back to the strategic point, what you said, what is that I'm going to make money? For anyone to make money from any sector, any theme, you have to be there at the early phase. When the markets move, a lot of people will come. That's not the time where you make money. If you have to make money, you have to catch the trend very early. When you put money into it, you have to remember a few things. Don't be in a hurry that you should see this result 1 month later, 6 months later, 1 year. No. See, the economic growth will happen over decades. It is slow, sustainable. That's why it's an evolutionary process. You have to be patient. You have to stay with the thick and thin of the economic activities. Some years are bad, some years are good. There will be famine, there will be good times, there will be political upheavals. In spite of all, India has progressed over many years. So the message here is, you will make money. Please do commit money into India, but have patience. Things can go wrong in the interim. Just don't walk out thinking that everything has gone up for a toss. No, it will not. It will not. India will reap its demographic dividend. The kind of salaries people get today in Bangalore is more than what they get outside of India. Look at the saving potential. Look at the amount of money which is coming into the SIP books of the mutual fund houses. 1,000 crores per month is flowing into the Indian stock market to the SIP route. This is the domestic money. So all these things will result in prosperity. You will never go wrong by investing in India. The question is, how much can I invest in India? That's a call individuals have to take. Somebody who has an intention to come back to India, to live here, boldly invest in it. That should be your strategic approach.
No, I think definitely. I think it was quite elaborative in terms of the strategic decision points that one can take. So, sir, you also mentioned that it's wise to enter into a market at an early stage or into an asset at an early stage to actually make wealth, right? So, what are some of the asset classes that you will say in India that one should eye for as a kind of a early boomer?
Equity for sure. Equity for sure. Equity has run up a lot, but this is just the beginning of a massive bull market. When I say massive bull market, don't expect it to bloom in next 1 year. We have had a great run up. So markets may stagnate here for a while, markets may take a breather, markets may correct a bit. That's all part and parcel of the thing. But if you compare where the equity markets will be 10 years from now, today is a time for you to enter. Don't wait for the markets to correct. Don't wait for, thinking that the markets are at the lifetime highs. Do not delay. Don't wait for an opportunity. Don't try to time the market. The right question that you have to ask at this point of time: where will the Indian markets be 10 years later? Where will the Indian markets be 15 years later? If you are investing for your retirement purpose, if your idea is to build wealth for funding your retirement, and that retirement is 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, so you have to invest today. That's equity. When I say equity, you don't have to pick up the individual stocks. You can pick up the mutual funds. You can pick up the ETFs. You can pick up index funds. You can pick up the PMS. You can pick up the alternative investment. You can even take up the unit-linked insurance plan. They are very good. You have nice, good annuity plan. You have got the NPS platform. Anything which is a derivative of the stock market, meaning I pick up a particular product or particular area, but that invests into the stock market, that's perfectly fine. Pick up any derivative of the stock market, invest for long term, and you stay put together. The second thing is, I would say, is real estate. Indian real estate, particularly the commercial real estate, is in a sunrise sector. The good thing about Indian commercial real estate, we have become very popular now with what's known as the fractional commercial real estate. Very interesting, very attractive. It gives almost the same returns as the stock market. It gives handsome amount of rentals month after month. It's institutionalized. Now the SEBI has notified guidelines to regulate it. It is becoming more and more safer to invest in the real estate. People must consider that.
So you are saying to be bullish on the equity market, which has gone from 8,000 pre-COVID to 24,000 already, which is like 3x already. So what do you think would be fair to say that this is where the after 10 years we can see our Sensex?
See, I will not guess any numbers, and it's wrong, and it's absolutely wrong for us to make any guesses. But let's make a logical conclusion. Today, India is growing at 7%. And inflation in India today is somewhere around 5%, plus or minus 1%. Let's give this. You have a growth of 7% and you have a 5% inflation. That means at a nominal level, you are growing at 12%. So there is an economic wealth of 12% which is getting created, which is visible, which is documented, which is flowing through the society. The stock market is not about the average. The stock market is about the above average. Even if I take 12% as the growth, at 12%, there is something called the rule of 72. You divide 72 by the growth numbers, and that gives you in how many years it will double. Let's divide 72 by 12. I expect it to be doubling in next 6 years. So if the same trend continues, it will double again in next 6 years. That means in 12 years from now, it should be 4 times of where it is. Of course, it has an elasticity. It could be plus 10%, minus 10%. So there could be a band. So you can make a wild guess. By keeping money in the bank, can I replicate that? The answer is no. If let's say that if it makes 10%, do I stand to lose? No. Do I have that kind of an opportunity to go and create that kind of a wealth elsewhere? The answer is no. So it is very safe to invest in India today. In fact, our viewers can do a Google search or check on the YouTube videos by Ridham Desai of Morgan Stanley. A very, very highly knowledgeable person, very respected individual, a great thinker. You should look at the paper they have brought out on India. You don't have to believe him, but you can see the data. That itself tells you. The key here is patience. The key here is the belief that it will work. Give the time, it works. You will be a winner. In fact, invest and forget it. When you invest in Indian market, on my channel or during my practice, I tell people, the money you put into the Indian market, you treat this as Bhagwan ka hundi. That means you invest this money. भगवान का हुंडी में आप हाथ नहीं लगाएंगे. आप तो सिर्फ डालेंगे पैसे, उसमें से नहीं निकालेंगे उसके पास. But when your income stops, that is when you retire, उस दिन भगवान का वो blessings count कर लो, आपको पता ही नहीं चलता कि कितना पैसा आपने बना लिया. Key here is giving it the required amount of time, which is long. How long? Really long, more than 10 years.
Okay, I think it's very kind of thoughtfully put, and you're right in terms of staying invested. and for the long term. So, kind of final questions on what are some of the key mistakes that NRIs make when they're investing into India?
I may sound like promoting my business, but I have to say this. You must have a good financial advisor to help you out. I'll tell you the reason why. These are the days of fintech companies which have brainwashed people into believing that you save so much of your money. See, when you go through an advisor, you save about 0.5%, and they will extrapolate and say in 30 साल में कितना पैसा बचाओगे. But who has stayed invested for 30 long years? You take the data of the mutual fund companies, people don't stay invested for more than even 3 years. That's the truth. So fintech companies have done a democratization of an investment, but they have taken out the real juice out of these investors. That stream of upskilling, getting higher salary, that should be your focus. Leave the money management in the safe hands, or you just invest in an index fund, or you just invest in a diversified fund. Stay there. Do not go in and out of the funds. Pick up those sectors or points of time where a fund or something is underperforming, but it will not die. I'll tell you the example. For example, pharma sector had become out of favor because of the US FDA related issues, and nobody wanted to touch pharma. Had you invested there in the pharma at that time, you would have made a killer money. Recently, in 2014 onwards, banking was a bad name. But anyone who invested in banking, see, banking cannot die. It's the lifeline of a country. It just cannot die. If you withhold the temptation that my fund should perform in 3 months and 6 months, and you invest in something which nobody wanted and give it the required time, people made killer money. Technology could be one sector which will not die. Which companies will survive, I do not know. But if you pick up a technology fund, if it is out of favor, it is an essential part of an economy. Such things can do very well. Then don't do anything which is against the law. The NRIs are not supposed to buy agriculture land. So they try to buy agriculture land by dubious names using their SB account. You will be caught at no point of time. File tax returns properly. If you don't have a income in India, my best suggestion, I am honest enough to admit this, file a nil tax return. Why? You have a PAN card, and in the income tax portal, you have never changed it to the NRI status. All the time it will show you that you are a resident Indian. You don't have an income in India, you don't file taxes. You live outside of India for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. There is no income. One fine day you go back to India. There is no track record of income. Suddenly you see that there is so much of an assets standing against you, and you file tax returns, you can be up for a scrutiny from income tax department. Instead of that, file tax returns, file a nil tax return, have a relationship with one of the chartered accountants, keep your books of accounts crystal clear, do it correctly. Ignorance is so much with the NRI community, they don't know which type of bank accounts they should use. They should know what they can do and what they cannot do. But let's do our part of things. Let's do the things the right way. Let us be the responsible persons of a great country like India.
I think those are some of the really good tips, and thanks a lot, sir, for taking out the time. I think we are able to answer a lot of questions properly. If not, please post your questions and comments. I think we touched upon to stay bullish in India. It's time of India for the next few decades. Equity markets are going to perform well, but you have to be patient. You have to stay invested. Don't try to make quick wins. I think we also touched upon diversification. That is very important. Having an assisted investment plan, or talking to experts, that's something that you should do. Or invest into Nifties, or not invest into particular stocks. So anything kind of final tip that you'd like to share for the audience?
Have faith in India. India will do very well. Be a proud Indian. When you are outside of India, please do not comment against India. We can serve our part. Let us take the good things of India to the rest of the world. Let the world recognize. That's all I can say. And thank you for all your audience. And I sincere request for them, if they have an interest to know more about NRI services or NRI matters, they can visit our channel. Thank you very much for listening patiently to my presentation today.
I think no matter what passport do you hold, which country you live in, you are going to stay Indian. You are the brand ambassadors of brand India. So yeah, with that thought, recording on Independence Day. Thanks a lot, Chandrakant sir, for taking out the time on this holiday and sharing your immense knowledge on financial markets with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.